You're doing a good job keeping all the items straight here, and we are already underway.
Yep, so Willard taking the sanctuary route, which is a little bit interesting. It might be indicative of hula-hanning, and IB Karma going to do the same.
Yep, we may see like a left-right split here in a second. Who knows? Nope, they're both going right. Looks like the hula-han action is going to happen.
Yeah, this is a play that's a little bit more popular in Keysanity, because there's so many more progression items in the item pool. The odds of finding one of those 100 or 300 rupee drops early on is a little bit lower. So the hula-han is kind of back in favor.
Yeah. So I see this a lot, and maybe this is just not common knowledge, but you don't actually have to go all the way into the cave there. You could just go all the way to the top of the screen till it stops scrolling and then come back down. And that'll fix the camera. So
the trick is just, everybody just wants something they know for a fact is going to work. You actually don't even have to go to the top of the screen if you stay above a certain pixel on the screen prior to that screen.
I have never managed to get it.
Yeah, so it's actually very doable if you know what the line is. But most players, in the interest of going fast and not having to think too much, they'll just jump in the cave for a second, guarantee themselves that the camera is good, and make it happen.
So we did just find a hammer in Link's house. I'm thinking Willard may not have actually picked it up, which is fine.
Yeah.
Like I'm actually okay with the idea of coming out of hula-han and just leaving.
Goodness.
The hook shot.
Yeah, that's this is really interesting. So I'm not sure why Willard would have skipped that chest. I mean, my God,
well, he's gonna save and quit there eventually.
He is, but oh my goodness. Okay, well,
that's my professional commentary on this situation.
Yeah, sputtering noises. All right, Willard will get his hammer now.
Sorry about that.
Not a problem at all. So yeah, this is a pretty interesting start to the seed. You gotta, when this happens, you gotta wonder what's coming next. But I mean, we just unlocked literally all of Death Mountain in the Light World. All the way to Tower of Hera, we just need keys.
Yeah. I wonder how long it'll be till we see a mirror. That's what I want to know.
That mirror would be nice to have. You gotta wonder, what's gonna be... It feels like every time you get a start like this, something's gonna get you later, and it's gonna be really interesting to see what that something turns out to maybe be this time.
Yeah. So I think that the there's always one troll item thing.
Yeah.
Go ahead. We did find the sword there in the library.
Yeah, that's something that it's nice to know where one is. I'll say that. It's probably the best thing you can say about it. Both our players doing very different things here. So Karma choosing to go directly into escape. He's got that hammer, makes it real easy to get through. We'll see if he knows the dark room to get the last item in the front here that he has access to. So far not finding anything but capacity upgrades. Willard, on the other hand, choosing to go do his Kakariko village checks.
Yep. There's a good 13 or so things you can pick up here. 14 if you can find a bottle.
Yep.
And then, like, if he finds powder, he could do Magic Bat or something if he wanted to.
Absolutely. And, also having gotten that flute, this is the perfect time to activate it and start getting some faster travel around the world.
Absolutely. So anyways, I think the whole idea of there always being that one troll item is actually kind of baked into the algorithm if you really look at it.
I don't think it's necessarily baked into the algorithm, but it's definitely kind of the math will work out that way because of the way the fill works.
Yeah. So I mean, at the beginning, you could place things basically anywhere because it just assumes you have everything else, right?
Correct. Yeah. There is some interesting behavior around pre-fill in Ganon's tower,
right.
But other than that, it's more or less straightforward. All right, so jumping into the first of these big higher item count caves in Kakariko here. Oh my goodness. And the Power Glove in the first chest of the Kakariko well. So we are rapidly approaching Dark World access, all sorts of stuff here. This is pretty crazy.
Yep, very much. So Karma here is taking the fairly common strat nowadays of just going to the race game and not checking what's there. Unfortunately, it's not going to pay off, but sometimes it's a risk you're willing to take.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that's a lot more popular now in Keysanity, largely because, again, there's so many more progression items that the odds of there just being something there that's worth getting is higher. So we did find a couple maps, but we also got a Turtle Rock small key and a little useless shield.
So you better bet that our runners are, on the lookout for those boots, because that'll get them their sword there on the library. Though for all we know, that could be miles down the line.
Yeah, that may very well be their butter sword.
Wow.
It could also be their master sword right before going to Ganon. So we shall see.
Oh, I'd be getting trolled by the back door there. That does happen occasionally.
Absolutely.
I think it has to do with, like, if you're holding a certain direction.
Yeah, doors are weird in this game. I'll just say that. There's plenty of ways for doors to go very wrong.
Oh, and there's the ice rod.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm told that the tavern door in the back there is especially held together with duct tape, so...
Yeah, I know there are issues with it in a few modes, like the entrance shuffles and stuff like that. So we're getting the big key of Eastern Palace. That is a good one to have, especially if you're the type of player who likes to go check early. It gives you the access to that big key chest, so you can well and truly clear out the front.
Yeah. All right. So if you'll indulge me for a little bit. Nope. Karma's gonna not activate the flute yet. Never mind.
Oh yeah.
I have a thing.
I'm familiar with your thing, and I think chat was wondering about the state of your thing earlier when Willard activated his flute. But
we had action to take care of.
We did. It was important. But Willard gonna be the first over to the Eastern Palace area to go check the back of Sahasrara's little shack here. Ooh, Pendant Swamp. Okay. It may be oh, and there's our bottle. And a pod small key. And an Ice Palace small key. So that Ice Palace small key, not necessary really to have, but very nice to have. When you get into Ice Palace, having that small key is going to make it so much more pleasant and convenient to route, being able to check those right side hammer block chests immediately.
And also you can sort of keep that in mind when you find things in Ice Palace, that some of those things might be locked behind having some of those keys in the logic.
It's possible, although with the early hook shot, that's not necessarily going to be the case.
Basically, at this point, cold stare is the only thing.
Correct. Not much in the back of Escape except for a useless Misery Mire small key. We actually don't need any of those.
All right, here we go. Everybody get up. It is time to slam now. We've got a real jam going down. So won't you come on and slam? And welcome to the jam. Come on and slam. Welcome to the jam.
Welcome to the jam.
All right, I will stop doing that now.
I feel like Charles Barkley probably would have been proud or something. I don't know. Something
I think so.
Basketball related. Willard getting the cool little hook shot clip into the block there, which is a really nice thing to be able to get with that early hook shot. Saves you a couple screen transitions, just doing one in and out trip here.
Yeah, the hook shot trick is pretty nice. It's a little trickier to pull off the hook shot than it is with the mirror.
Yeah, so definitely it's a little bit more timing sensitive. But we got the big key to Skull Woods, which unfortunately only unlocks one chest. But given how close we are to Dark World access, Skull Woods check is probably not in the far off future.
And how early that became available, it's entirely likely that there could be something there.
Absolutely. All right, let's see what we get in Mini Moldorm Cave. The hook shot, this cave is not scary at all, swordless or otherwise. But it does have 5 items, 4 from chests and 1 from the little dude.
I was going to say, Willard taking a little more damage than you would expect, but we're okay.
A little bit.
There's the Swamp Palace big key, also unlocking just 1 item.
Yep, and we also got a shovel out of there. So that's nice to have, because in the White World we can actually check that anytime. And it might not be a bad idea to route that in sooner rather than later. But having the flute, I totally agree with Willard's decision to go check Ice Rod Cave. This is accessible from the very beginning of the game, and with the flute, it's not even really a pain in the butt to get to.
Yep. So I have to ask you, what are your feelings on Agonist Cave?
With the flute, I think it's worth doing, although generally speaking, I'll try and route expecting to save and quit anyway. Only because it's one of those caves that walking out of is a little bit of a pain in the butt, time-wise. There's not much you can do to speed it up. Oh my goodness, alright, that Swamp Palace small key. So we are a Moon Pearl and a mirror and a set of flippers away from Swamp Palace, which does contain a tremendous volume of items.
Yeah, no kidding. So Willard is going to set up that fake flipper here. Or he's not.
Maybe not. He's going to go do
the other direction.
The Western setup.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, without that Moon Pearl, he's not going to be going into that waterfall cave. He's pretty short of rupees for Zora. So it'll be interesting to see whether he bothers taking the warp to Zora to go grab just a quick glimpse at what's on the ledge up there, or whether he just bails after Hobo here.
I feel like just going to Hobo is probably it.
I have a feeling that's the play, but in Keysanity, in these one-on-one races especially, sometimes having a little bit of extra information can be hugely valuable.
Just some explosives, and yeah, that's going to do it for WillardJBradley. His little swimming expedition.
Mm-hmm. So we'll see if he satisfies your curiosity, maybe, and flutes over to Agonist Cave. Looks like we're actually going to go get that shovel. Yeah, I think we're going to go get that shovel right now and see what's buried.
So, can you dig it?
I can dig it. I can, in fact, dig it. I'm hip to the scene, the grove digging scene. Oh, okay. And it is. Desert Palace big key. All right.
I think I was into that big key while it was still underground.
Oh my goodness.
Willard was going to go there, but he's like, wait, I can't get in.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised he didn't walk over and check Agonist. But I think, at this point, having the items that he does, he's got, again, all of Light World Death Mountain outside of the keys for Hera. So, coming up here, definitely a really good play.
All right, so Willard doing the swordless dark room here.
Yep.
And Karma's joining him. Willard electing to use hammer strats, and Karma electing to use hookshot strats to see where you're going.
Yep. They're both about the same time. It's really just whichever you're with.
And Willard has managed to escape the cave with the old man in tow.
Well done. And only a few hammer strats on his side. That was pretty good. And unfortunately, the Death Mountain cabbage here not being terribly generous. Taking a little bit more damage than he probably wishes he had, but still going to be just fine.
So we'll come up here, we'll check the Spectacle Rock cave and the top of Spectacle Rock. That's a map. In the cave, we've got just a big 20. I don't see Willard going for that.
No, I think we'll be leaving that where it sits. I think we're just going to walk over here and drop down and start hookshotting our way across the mountain.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, that cabbage.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal, you know, and it's a bunch of really obnoxious RNG in this game, and you know, you never know exactly what those rocks are going to do to you, but it's never pleasant.
Sometimes I wish those dead rocks would just live up to their name and just be dead.
Yeah. I can't really argue with that. That would be a definite improvement. Ooh, okay, we got a nice little heart refill from getting our 4th heart piece, I believe. So Willard's got all the gear he could possibly want for this room. Coming in here with the hook shot, quick bomb, switch your hook shot, and just one-shot all these guys. There's the lamp. So that old man check actually totally in sequence. And the boots. All right, well, Willard knows where to get a sword now, but he's got more stuff to do up here.
Yep, we've got a spiral cave. We've got some chests in the Tower of Hera. You know, if we find the Titan's mitts, we could even check some of the stuff like Super Bunny Cave.
Yep, unfortunately, those 2 chests would be the only ones that we would be able to get. But definitely still okay, and we've got the cape up on the little floating island there.
Yep.
We shall see if that actually becomes relevant.
If the 2 things in Hera are Titan's Mitt, Moon Pearl, that would be ridiculous.
I think, yes, I think that would definitely qualify as ridiculous. I would agree with that. But instead, we're getting the bug net, or not.
Oh,
Willard,
disrespecting the net.
You know, look, I gotta agree with Willard on one. That it's not an item it's necessarily worth getting.
Yeah, I think I'd be reluctant to pick it up unless I had the powder.
I think regardless of whether you have the powder or not, I think, you know, for most you know, upper mid, higher level players, if you've got the powder, you're pretty safe whether you can capture those fairies or not. Especially in a lot of the harder, more obnoxious dungeons, there's generally at least a couple places to be anti-fairying with that powder. And
what I'm saying is I'm bad at this game. That's what I'm saying.
Well, you know, look, that's on you to say. I can't say anything about that. I'm just saying I think Willard's okay without the bug net.
Willard will be fine.
Karma, unfortunately, taking a death.
Feel like it may have been intentional. Maybe not.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it was intentional.
Well, maybe it was semi-intentional to like regain some health. I don't know.
It's possible. All right, so Willard, wasting no time, he's gonna go turn in that bomb and grab his sword, I presume. And Sick Kid holding out, just giving us a bomb capacity upgrade. Definitely not what we were looking for.
I mean, you could try to run the seed swordless, but there's no real reason to.
Yeah.
And it would be awful difficult once you got to the end.
Absolutely. All right, so Willard with our first sword, about 19 minutes, 20 into the seed. So not bad, you know, compared to some of the seeds we've seen, you know, lately, which have swords much later than that. You know, Willard's got to be pretty happy to see a fairly early sword.
Willard with some gold guard action. Nice little graphical glitch there.
Yeah. Looks like he's going to go ahead and take care of his checks in the front of escape here. And with that lamp, he will waste no time in going back to the back. This is one of those checks that, you know, a lot of times you don't end up with the lamp quite this early. And, you know, if you do know how to do these dark rooms, it can be a pretty huge check sometimes, just from routing efficiency, but definitely, you know, it can be a powerful sequence break at times.
Yeah, some people would definitely prefer to do this while you're thinking about it, you know, while you're here, instead of going back for it. It's easier to do when you have a sword, but of course they already had the lamp, so forget that.
Absolutely. So Karma going ahead and starting to check some boot swag spots. So just grabbing the bonk rocks now, and unfortunately, just a big 20 in there. He looks like he might be going to do his back of escape check that Willard already did. This is interesting. I think, okay. Yeah, he's going to go do back of escape. He may have been thinking about trying to go do the King's Tomb, but realized he didn't have the glove that he would need. I don't know.
Right.
And finding nothing with that useless Meyer key that Willard.
Yeah, there's only 2 chests in Meyer that even care about the small keys.
Yeah, but we actually need... Yeah, we don't need any Meyer chest keys in order to fully clear that dungeon. We can do the whole thing actually with pot keys, so long as we have the big key.
So as long as they don't make any mistakes, that's not a problem.
Correct.
It's just if you find something in those like left 2 fire lock chests, you'll expect to find a bunch of Meyer small keys soon.
Yeah. All right, so we've got our save and quit from Willard. Let's see where he's going to be going next. So we save and quit to Sanctuary, which makes me think that Bonk Rocks might be in his future coming up real soon now. With that Death Mountain save point unlocked, that is actually the fastest save point to get a full health refill from, and then walk out and flute away. You don't have to dash further out like you do at the Sanctuary, so...
So, am I the only one who's sitting here thinking Moon Pearl at Zora right now?
You know, it's entirely possible. You know, the only thing really stopping our players from going over there is the room. You know, they can go farm. I'm sure they would like to avoid that. So I agree with what Willard's trying to do here, which is
I guess neither has been into Eastern proper.
Exactly. And with that big key, we do have access to all of the... so we just can't beat the boss, so...
Yep, and even with the lamp, that puts the big key chest in the logic as well.
Absolutely. Well, the big key chest is actually... And are you talking about where you would ordinarily... The vanilla big key chest, not the big chest? Yeah, that's correct. Not that I would expect that room to stop any of our runners here.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it is actually properly in the logic now.
Yeah, the back dark room here, or the front dark room, I guess, is pretty simple. It's one of the easier ones to do. Absolutely.
Now, Willard taking this south route through the room here. Routing Eastern Palace with the hook shot and the boots is one of them. Oh, and a map. That is a really nice find this early in the game.
Yeah.
But routing the front of this dungeon with the boots and the hook shot is actually one of the more enjoyable things for me in this game. There are strategies you get to use in here for movement and getting to that southeast chest really efficiently that unfortunately are never available to vanilla game.
I was gonna say, don't you wish you could do that in NMG?
Oh, I wish I could do a lot of things in NMG. But yeah, so the other interesting thing about getting that Master Sword coupled with that lamp, is that Aghanim is almost in the logic. Because we're in Keysanity, we do need 2 Castle Tower small keys. But yeah, we certainly won't be beating Aghanim for access reasons at this point. We are now good to go. We've got basically full access to the Dark World, with the exception of Dark World Death Mountain and the Mire area.
Yep, still need those Titans mitts for that. And for all we know, they could be over here in the big key chest.
It's entirely possible.
That's the thing with Rando. You don't know. You may think you know, you don't know.
Yep, Rando giveth and Rando taketh away. Right now, Rando is giving, and I'm sure nobody's complaining.
So it's the Ether Medallion found in there, and that could end up being important.
It absolutely could. Unfortunately, we probably won't know for a little bit, because to find out whether it's required or not, we're going to need those mitts. We can't even look at those locations until then.
All right, so WillardJBradley immediately heading to the Dark World with his newfound Moon Pearl, gonna check the Hype Cave.
Yeah, and I think that this has generally been the preferred route so far this tournament, is to as soon as you get that Hammer Glove Moon Pearl combo, coming down here doing Hype Cave, then the choice really is whether Willard takes this opportunity to go west and check the digging game and the Stumpy in the Grove, or whether he chooses to run up, check maybe the Pyramid Ledge and Catfish. Hey, there's that Tower of Hera big key, and we also got a pod key, I believe, at least one in here.
I believe so. I think the NPC had like I think there was another key there. I don't remember what it was too.
There was a key. Unfortunately, I missed what it was. So we are going to find out what our crystals 5 and 6 are right now. Ooh, Eastern and Desert. Okay.
Wow. 2 dungeons they have the big key for.
Yep.
But not necessarily access to the boss.
That's correct. So Desert...
Or for that matter, access to the dungeon at all.
Yep. So Desert, we're missing access to the dungeon. Eastern, we're obviously missing the bow to go take care of the boss. So it looks like we will get the Pyramid Ledge check from Willard, and that probably means that if he's going anywhere, it's either going to be Pod or to the Catfish area.
Yep. I do see some people going for Catfish kind of occasionally.
So it's really it's a byproduct of this route, right? So Catfish is incredibly inconvenient to route in, and when you do this this route here, where the first place that you go is to Hype Cave, it's the perfect opportunity to do it, and your hope is that it's never this convenient for you again, basically. Right. And it's pretty likely, all things considered.
So how, if you're Willard, are you hoping for are you hoping as hard as possible for the mirror right now? I
mean, that's definitely the best case scenario for him, unquestionably. That said, I don't think that you're expecting it, and I don't think you need it to happen in order to feel like this play was worthwhile at all.
Right.
Getting rid of these far-off locations early can be a real boon to the players. When you've got these single locations that are a pain in the butt to get to, kind of sitting there in the back of your mind the whole time. And even if they don't pay out, eliminating them as concerns is a huge weight off you as you go forward into the rest of the race. So it looks like Willard may be going back up to Tower of Hera. Now we got that key.
Seems reasonable.
Yeah, I think the one thing that he hasn't checked, that he kind of walked by, and you do have to wonder about a little bit, is Agonist. But having the big key here, he's going to have access to all but one item in Tower of Hera, and it's definitely not a bad play at all. Meanwhile, IB Karma has decided to take an early dip into the Dark World in the Village of Outcast area, and is starting off by going into Skull Woods, which is a play that I like to make a lot, actually. I think that the early Skull Woods check can be really, really powerful. There's a fair number of chests and not a lot of requirements to get in here once you have basic Dark World access.
I especially like coming in here when there's no chance that I'm going to be tempted to fight Mothula.
Yeah, Mothula is one of those bosses that, depending on your skill level and your equipment, is either, you know, effectively free or really, really scary. You know, there are a few strats that you can learn on Mothula that make him, you know, kind of a pushover. But you do need a decent sword and preferably the boots, which they do have, so.
Yeah. Ideally, you prefer tempered sword, because that means 4 slashes and he's done.
That's correct. But in general, you know, the thing with his environment with those spikes, and so your goal in any Mothula fight is to kill Mothula before the spikes even really get going and can hurt you much.
Alright, so we got a small key to Turtle Rock inside the big chest of Skull Woods. Could be very important.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Bombos.
Okay, so Skull Woods definitely having...
So the, is he going to head to the back chest? He is.
Yeah, I think there's no reason not to. You know, I think that the one question you can ask yourself when you come over here early like this is, which direction do I want to do this dungeon in? Personally, I prefer to actually do it from the back to the front when I don't have the fire rod, because that way I'm just walking right back out of the bottom of the dungeon. Making good use of that Bombos medallion, you just go ahead and take care of the Gibdos in there. That room can be a real pain in the butt if you familiar with some of the strats there, so.
Like, yeah, I'm just not dealing with that right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, nice. Get the harsh piece, get filled up with life before you head out into the world. I wouldn't be surprised to see a peek over at Bumper Cave, just because we know where the cape is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that check is a good one. Chat reminding us, and we did see that we did actually, you know, in the same dungeon, Hera's small key. So Willard is actually being able to check the basement right now. I'm sure he's got to be feeling pretty good about the fact that he gets to full clear this in one go. You know, a lot of times this is a location that people would skip in open mode, but in Keysanity, those types of skips are a lot more risky. But unfortunately, just another bottle. So not really paying out.
Well, it's got a fairy in it. He did leave behind the bug net, so there you go.
Yep. Okay, so Willard probably about to go make his play into the Village of Outcast locations. And it'll be interesting to see whether he chooses to jump into the main part of the village in Thieves Town first or not. Ooh, we got the big key of Turtle Rock in the C-shaped house.
Alright, so that's 2 keys and a big key. That's the laser bridge entry fee. Right.
Absolutely.
There.
With 2 medallions and a hammer, you know, at this point, and an ice rod, we're probably willing to maybe take a dip if we get another key or 2 and, you know, some Titan's Mitts and a Samaria.
Yep. So when I'm routing Village of Outcasts, I tend to just do one of the first 2 things here, depending on which side I come in from, and then just go into Thieves Town, because the way it feels to me is that Thieves Town is basically a 4-chest overworld cave.
So it depends. You know, I think that you know, when you start to get to the higher levels of competition, you know, one of the things you start to think about, whether it's in the vanilla speedrun or in rando, is screen transitions. Screen transitions contribute quite a bit to your time over the course of the run. So it's one of those things where if you can, you know, you're going to check all of those Village of Outcasts locations. If you don't have the big key for Thieves Town, I think it makes sense to check all 3 of those prior to jumping in. Just to see if you can avoid having to, you know, double dip and pay that price again.
Okay. Let's see. So we did find that Desert Palace small key. I'm sorry I interrupted you when you did that.
No, not at all. That is an important key.
That was in the chest game. And we also found the Cane of Samaria inside Thieves Town.
Yep.
In the vanilla map chest, I believe.
Yep. And pod small key in the vanilla big key location in Thieves. Those pod keys are some of the most important keys that we're going to get. Pod has a tremendous number of... and when you know the type of techniques that I know for a fact that Willard does, like the hammer jump, you're looking for, right now without the bow, we're looking for 5 pod keys to be able to fully navigate that dungeon and still have one left for Helmasaur. If we get the bow, we can actually do the whole dungeon in... so pod is one of those dungeons where, you know, those techniques that you might know as a more advanced player really, really start to pay out huge dividends. And Willard picking up his Bombos medallion.
All right, so here comes the Stumpsman check from Karma and the Bumper Cave check from Willard.
Yep. Okay, well, Bumper Cave not paying out today, and neither is Stump, with just a few arrows, or maybe it was an arrow capacity upgrade. Either way, not what we're looking for. So it looks like Willard will be doing his little retread of Thieves Town checks. Meanwhile, IB Karma doing almost the exact opposite to Hype Cave.
Yep, gonna get that Hype Cave going. This key was the Skullwood key. Okay.
A completely useless key, unfortunately.
Yep. It's base. Oh, that was where the. This. Wait, was that the big key of Hera? No, I'm confused.
Yeah, it was the Tower of Hera big key in Hype Cave.
Wow, wow. That is a impressive subscription there.
Oh my. Well, thank you, Sealy, for your continued support of the Speed Gaming channels. We want you to know that you are appreciated.
Indeed.
Alright, so looks like Karma is going to make his way to the Pyramid Wedge and then again to Catfish afterward. You know, I am starting to wonder when we're going to maybe get an early pod dip. Without the bow, it's never the thing you want to do, but we're starting to run out of options here.
Right. Now, with 3 keys is my magic number for wanting to go to pod. Because once you have 3, you've unlocked, within the logic at least, the back section with the dark basement and the turtle chest.
Correct. Now, you know, your ideal situation, if you can make it happen, is to have the bow with you when you go with 3. If you have the bow and 3 keys, then you're actually capable of getting everything out of the dungeon, assuming you know the hammer jump, aside from beating Helmasaur.
You also will need the big key to get that big chest, but
that is correct.
Other than that, you should be fine.
Yeah.
And if you go in with 3 keys, at least under the current logic, I would recommend not going to Helmasaur.
Yeah, definitely. With any amount of keys at this point, again, it's a little bit less of an issue if you know techniques to avoid using keys. You know, one is just a routing choice based on having the bow. to avoid opening the central door that goes to the back, and the other is actually knowing that hammer jump to be able to skip using a key there.
All right, so Willard's gonna actually do a little extra digging here, maybe to like replenish the rupee count.
Yeah, I think he's starting to think about a Zora check in the near future, and I think he's gonna want more money.
Willard was giving me flashbacks there for a second.
Oh,
I don't know if you've seen the clip where he soft locks himself by shovel dashing out of that game into the next screen.
Yeah, I have seen that. Yeah.
He stopped just before the edge just to troll everyone.
Yeah, Willard is a prodigious item dasher and has gotten himself into trouble a few times in competitive play, actually, with some of those item dashes in various situations.
All right, so Karma is heading up to Tower of Hera. Gonna finish that off. Pick up a crystal.
Yep. Meanwhile, looks like Willard is actually going to go do the Agana cave prior to maybe heading over and doing that Zora check. He may be coming over here now, in addition to just clearing out this, because there is actually a nice rupee farming spot just east of here.
Ah, yes, that does make sense. You can get 50 rupees per trip into that cave.
Correct.
And you can just get 20 right here.
If he's planning to make a pod dip after this, he may still want to go farm rupees. Because Zora plus pod, he's going to need at least 110. He's going to need at least 610 in order to be able to take care of both.
So IB Karma attempted the bomb jump to get to the big chest in Tower of Hera, and he had the position and he dropped the bomb and then he moved again.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. You know, it's those bomb jumps can be kind of nerve-wracking. You know, if you're not 100% comfortable with the setups, you know, sometimes. So with that bomb jump in particular, there's a bootsless setup and there's a boots setup. The positioning is a little bit different, and one of the things that can happen to players is that they think that they are good for the bootsless setup. They change their mind and decide they're not, and it's kind of doing a half boots setup, half bootsless, and they end up just walking off or screwing with their alignment.
All right, so we see just a map on Zora's Ledge, and Willard is gonna make a purchase.
Yep, and Willard is well familiar with the fact that when you've got that water walk, it's actually really great because you dash off the top bend in the left, you will actually just dash straight to Zora, no trouble. Ooh, Thieves Town small key. That is nice to have for later. We're still gonna need that Thieves Town big key. A little frustration bonk there from Willard. And I'm expecting our pod dip now, but no, actually. Willard's gonna go, yeah, he's gotta go farm rupee. We're gonna go.
Yep, just a couple of trips in here. That'll get him to 111. I don't know, maybe you'd come back in just in case, but I don't think so.
No, you know, I mean, I think at this point he's already done the digging game and the treasure chest game, and those are the two other things that are mandatory spends to be able to check. Right. I think a total of 100 rupees between the two of them.
The just in case I was talking about is in case you're a scrub like me and get hit by something while carrying Kiki.
Yeah. Fortunately, with the boots, they're relatively well protected. It's a little bit more dangerous without the boots. All right, so as we get ready to dip into it'll be really interesting to see what Willard's routing looks like here. With only the 3 keys that he has right now, and no bow, he will be leaving behind one chest. There are two that he can choose between. So it'll be really interesting to see which one he chooses to leave behind. It's either going to be which is the room with the spikes and the statues, or the vanilla big key chest.
Yeah, either the harmless hellway or the vanilla big key chest.
Yeah, so he's got, it's a 50-50 choice, and this is one of those really scary things here, right? Now, one thing Willard sometimes chooses to do, and we may see him do it here, is actually opt to save and continue here in the front of the dungeon.
Interesting.
That will allow him to potentially check one of those chests, and if he doesn't like what he gets out of it, do a soft reset to get the key back, and then go check the other chest, preferentially.
Though he'd have to make his way back here to do that, right?
No. So if he, I believe he would. No, he may actually have to make his way back here. I forget whether you'll restart in the dungeon on a save and continue like that. I think you might, actually.
Yeah, well, a save and continue you would, but I think what you'd actually do to avoid losing the key is a continue don't save, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately, just a heart container. I don't think he did any sort of save.
Yeah.
In this particular case, he's just going to go for it.
Yeah, there is a continue don't save, but you have to die.
Yeah. Ooh, and some blue mail. That is nice to see for sure.
Oh yeah, that takes away a lot of your worries.
Oh, Willard. Falling off the left-hand side there, no big deal. Some minor time loss. What he was going for there, for anybody who doesn't know, when you're holding that pot, if you hug the very left-hand side of that walkway, you actually get a little speed boost. There's our third medallion, so we are definitely good. But yeah, you actually get a little speed boost from carrying that pot on the very left-hand side of that walkway. And so most of the runners who have experience with that room and energy. Oh my god! All right.
Time.
Well, now a whole bunch of things just got opened up to us.
And so yeah, that was one of the few places left in here that was actually within the logic.
Yep.
So this was the intended progression for this seed.
Yep, this pod dip, I mean, it was mandatory by the time we did it, but yep, pod clearly the play here. And unfortunately, not a lot else in pod so far. Really was just about getting those met. Yeah, really not much else in pod, aside from that blue mail, but that's very optional.
Alright, so the third medallion and the...
Oh, that's right, we got the third medallion in pod as well. It'll be interesting to see which of those medallions ends up being the one that's required here, because we are definitely going up to Dark Death Mountain right now for sure, and we're going to do it via the Turtle Rock Warp. So we'll get our medallion check and our Dark World access in one fell swoop. We've already done all of Light World, so this is going to be pretty nice.
Alright, so let's see what we have in Turtle Rock. We did mention that the potential medallion mitts and Samaria combo might lead us in here, and we've got that.
Yeah, I mean, we are fully capable of entering this dungeon right now. We're going to miss out on 2 chests on the right-hand side. We've got 2 keys, so we can't quite get all the way to where we'd like to be able to get.
I was going to say, I think we might check Super Bunny and Hookshot Cave first.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Think there's any chance Willard picks up the cape off the floating island? Well, no, because he doesn't have the mirror. Yeah. But if he gets the mirror...
if he gets the mirror, you know, I think that being up here and putting Spike Cave in the logic, it might be worth it. Oh my goodness, there's that Thieves Town big key.
Oh boy.
That is a great key to have. It's going to unlock the entirety of that dungeon for him. Oh boy. Okay, that Meyer big key is nice to have. It's actually the only key in Meyer that we care about.
Indeed. Yeah, you can walk straight from the front door to Vitreous with just the big key. If you have everything you need.
Absolutely.
It's a bit of a circuitous path, but you can get there.
Yeah, so Willard taking a minute to think about his options here. He does have quite a few, actually. Ice Palace being one of them with that Bombos medallion.
Looks like we're taking up the Meyer area.
Yeah, no, this is I like this play, actually. When you get the Flute and the Moon Pearl and the Titan's Mitts, Meyer area is immediately unlocked, and we do get to check that medallion requirement, not that it matters. But Meyer is actually fully clearable at this point. It'll be a little bit of an annoying fight, but it is fully clearable.
And, you know, Karma is following right behind.
Yeah, both players making pretty similar plays here.
Somebody ought to tell Willard that someday Karma's going to catch up to him.
One of these days, it's going to happen.
So anyways, also Quake, so Quake for days.
Yep.
Turns out that Ether Medallion out of Eastern Palace, not entirely useful at all.
Yep. Alright, now this is going to be a pretty neat little fight if we actually go all the way to the back. So it looks like we do know that Meyer is a crystal, so I'm expecting this to get finished while we're here. It's definitely doable. But this Master Sword, no bow fight is not the one you want to do. But
so just throwing this out there, do you expect bomb strats? No,
I don't actually. I think that if he had the Fighter Sword, absolutely. But with the Master Sword, the NMG iframe spend/strat is actually quite effective, especially with Blue Mail.
So is that still the typical strat used for the low percent run?
That's correct. I mean, I'm not sure what sword you would come in here with for the low percent run.
I'm pretty sure it's Master.
Yeah, basically it would be that strat then.
So we found yet another pod small key. That's
right.
That's getting them closer and closer to being able to finish that off.
Yep, no question. You never know what you're going to find in pod in that last location.
We do have our runners in the unenviable position of having to use the lamp to light these torches.
Yeah, you know, it's a little bit less fun, but the thing that makes people feel like it's more frustrating than it actually is some people think that you have to go and push all the blocks and then go do the lamps, and it's actually, you can do it fast enough to not have to worry about that.
Right. It is a fairly tight window. It's not like super tight, but you it is possible to miss it.
Yeah.
Now, there is only one little thing we are missing in order to complete Meyer. Or I guess it's just Karma that's missing it. Because Karma
I believe
doesn't have the big key.
That's correct. I don't remember if Karma... I think maybe we got that up on Dark Death Mountain.
It was in Hookshot Cave.
Yeah, so...
Willard doing the nice hookshot strats to traverse the right side of this dungeon, pick up those extra chests. It's a pretty nice route.
Absolutely.
Ooh, flipper time!
All right, so we are one step closer to that Swamp Palace access.
Do you fancy a swim?
We just need a mirror at this point. Wouldn't it have been great if we got the mirror in that big chest?
Oh, yeah. And just have it on Vitreous.
I mean, it's like second best. It's like silver medal.
Yeah. I was going to say, it looks like Willard's not going for Vitreous, but yeah, he is.
Yeah, so without the small key... yeah, without the small key, he needs to go and take the warp over here on the left. But no big deal. Alright, so the question here is, where is IB Karma going right now? Oh, he did not do his hobo checks and other stuff here, so...
Yeah. Did he not get the Titan's mitts out of Pod? Surely he got the Titan's mitts out of Pod.
I would have to imagine so. I certainly assumed he did.
Oh, he was... Yeah. He was in Meyer. Of course he did.
Yeah.
What am I smoking? Anyway,
it's a good question.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him make a trip into Ice Palace.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the Ice Palace play is definitely not a bad one to make. You know, people like to try and put off that dungeon a little bit because it's a pain in the butt to route, but we do have everything we need to do in order to do it. In logic as well.
Yep. The logic would want you to have the big key for a couple of things. Most notably the big chest, because you literally can't get in there without it, and also Cold Stare. But, is a technical term.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that one. Alright, so Willard about to embark on his totally enjoyable and amazing Master Sword Vitreous. So yeah, coming in, getting iframes off of the outer goo. He is going to have to be a little bit careful here. Oh, he's got red potion.
We've got potions.
He's totally fine. So for anybody who's not familiar with the strat, the light green goo, not the darker green goo, does exactly 1 heart of damage. And it's possible to go up and intentionally take a hit from that to get some invulnerability frames, which then allow you to walk right into the little eyeballs and not take damage from them. They hit much harder than the goo.
So I have a question for you. Where exactly does the damage field begin on that goo? Because it's not right at the edge.
No, so the damage field actually begins pretty close to where the bottom line of the central dark goo is. It's actually a little bit above that, but that's where it is.
That's why I was having trouble with that strat.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a line that sort of runs across the room there that you can sort of visualize, and if you can keep your eye on that line, you'll know where you have to walk across in order to get the iframes. But very nicely done by Willard. Definitely kind of a little close health-wise, but with the potions he had, no real cause for concern at any point.
And luckily, that once you defeat Vitreous, that damage zone goes away, so you don't have to worry about that.
Correct. Yeah, generally speaking, in all the boss rooms, once the boss is done, all of the hazards in the room turn themselves off. So the spikes in Helmasaur's room or in Mothila's room will also stop doing damage. As
literally
soon as the boss
walk
dies.
right up to them, and it's just like, eh.
Correct. The main one that actually stays active is if there is ice still falling in Cold Stare's fight. It can still kill you after the boss dies, and that's a sad day when it happens to you.
All right, so Karma making his way into Ice Palace. We're gonna get to see what's in here.
Never quite as fun when you come in here with just the Bombos medallion. It's a little bit slower, and with no half magic, he is definitely gonna have to watch himself a little bit. But I believe he should also have a blue potion, I think, so he should be okay.
Yeah. If you're really desperate, there are plenty of places to fill up here.
Yep.
If you know where to look.
Yep. So meanwhile, Willard going to take advantage of that Thieves' Town key to go into the back of Thieves. And we did also have the small key early. So Willard's going to be able to full clear this.
All right. Yeah, so the small key, you know, generally only necessary to reach that big chest, but due to some assumptions the logic makes, unless you've found that small key, it's less likely to expect something in a couple of the other chests back here.
That's correct. Certainly from a logic chain perspective. That said, all the other chest locations are in places you already have to go anyway. So in practice for the runners, it doesn't really change much.
Right.
Unless you're trying to really work out, 10 steps ahead on the logic, whether Thieves is a dungeon worth entering at all.
Yeah. The only time it would really factor into my brain is if I found something important in, say, this attic chest, and I didn't have the small key yet. I'd be like, okay, the game doesn't necessarily want me to have this yet.
Yeah.
What have I missed?
Yeah, that's correct. Someone in chat was asking about the pixel perfect dash, oftentimes referred to as the God pixel in Thieves' Town. And yes, it is absolutely pixel perfect. There is a setup for it to make it a good bit more consistent to get, but unfortunately, even when you're on the right pixel, there's enemy RNG in that room that can defeat you and make it impossible to actually dash up in one go.
Those red blobs of goo, nobody likes them.
Yeah, I never remember what those are called, but they are terrible.
There we go. Karma gets the Ice Palace bomb jump for the second time.
Ooh, and Willard getting the book in the Maiden's Chest in Thieves' Town. So without having the mirror yet, that does give us access to one tablet up on Death Mountain, as well as
all of
access to
Desert Palace.
Yeah,
yeah. We've got that Desert Palace access just burning a hole in our pocket, and we need to get over there now.
Yep, and we do know that it's a valuable crystal. It's one of those 5-6 crystals. So.
And with Swamp Palace being appended, we may not even see the mirror. That may happen in Ganon's Tower.
It's entirely possible. So we're gonna come in here and probably make quick work of blind. Got a little bit trolled there and got off sequence just a little bit, but it looks like he's gonna be alright. No. So he has to be a little bit careful here, but he just needed the one hit.
The mirror shield doing him a few favors there.
Definitely. The mirror shield is one of those things that you're never gonna go out of your way to get, but when you have it, it's nice in a few fights. This one being a big one.
Yep. I mean, it also makes Laser Bridge free.
The interesting thing is that with the boots, doing laser skips with boots is It's pretty straightforward. So actually getting through Laser Bridge using the mirror shield is substantially slower because generally the way that people then walk out of the little laser alcoves or whatever is by holding their shield out, by holding the sword out. But then you're potentially paying.
Slower walk.
Yeah, you're paying. Well, it's not just the walk; it's that you're waiting for a spin slash to complete.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Interestingly enough, in swordless mode, doing that with the mirror shield is actually very fast and one of the fastest, safest ways to do it.
Yeah, one of these days I'll learn how to do the laser skip properly.
It's a good strat to learn. You know, it's a nice increase in your safety in that dungeon for sure.
Do you use like an audio cue or something to do that, or what?
No, you really don't have to. Actually, if you're, you don't have to be quite as low as people think you do. To be able to dash in. It's really just about making sure that you don't bonk off the little railing. For the walking out, you just kind of walk in between the slashes and make sure you get up really quick. But yeah, it's not as bad as people think. You just have to, once you kind of get it once, then you know how to do it. All right, so Willard about to make his play into Desert Palace, having just gotten that book. I think this is a very smart play. IB Karma about to go down to Cold Stare. Actually, did he get the iced tea room yet? I think he did. So yeah, he'll just be going down to Cold Stare now, finishing up his Ice Palace.
All right. And once you got to this point, you didn't really have to worry about the magic, because there's enough magic for bombos right there next to Cold Stare.
Yeah, if you've got a big key of Ice Palace.
I was like, speaking of.
Will getting a little bit fortunate here. He's only going to need to single dip ice as opposed to potentially a double dip on Karma's side.
And in fact, all of Ice Palace right now is in the logic for Willard.
That is correct.
Because the logic will let you substitute the Cane of Samaria for a single key, and he's got the other one.
Yep, that is correct. So Karma fighting one of the hardest bosses in the game right now, which is the lag in the Cold Stare room. When you are in here in a position where with the Master Sword, you really want to be doing spin slashes. Until we get rid of one or two of these puffs, it's going to be painful. So I missed it. What did Willard get?
Willard found the fire rod in the big chest of desert.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, yeah, Willard
isn't Karma going to feel silly here in a second?
Yeah, that is a bummer. That is a bummer. In addition to making Ice Palace a good bit, nicer to route for Willard, we've also got Skull Woods. We've also got a little bit more of Turtle Rock when and if Willard decides to check that out. So yeah, it's that Fire Rod opens up, a lot of niceness for us.
Yeah, and they've also found both of the Skullwood small keys, and I know they don't really matter, but that is also the game telling you, hey, Mothula has something.
So it's entirely possible. There's
sort of.
Yeah, there's no requirement for it, so you never know. It can be a little bit misleading, but certainly not a bad breadcrumb to follow.
The logic wants you to have both keys. It's silly, but
Yeah.
The logic assumes you're going to make the worst possible decisions with all of your keys.
That is correct. But yeah, by and large, there's a lot of these logical things that can in some cases influence decision making, but in practice most times don't. Skullwoods generally is a no small key dungeon when you're thinking about it in terms of routing.
Right.
I think that the most interesting dungeons to think about with keys are Turtle Rock and Pod. Those are the two where you'll find runners absolutely thinking pretty carefully about what they have access to and what's in logic when it comes to those keys.
So Karma is gonna take the blacksmith on a little tour here. The main issue being that a lack of mirror makes this a rather difficult trip. So a lot of people do not like doing blacksmith without the mirror. But thanks to a nice little update in, I think it was V26, they added this. The blacksmith could have the mirror, which would be the worst.
That is correct. So Willard gonna make the Skullwoods play now, and he will be able to just run all the way through this and get it taken care of. The only thing he could possibly wish for to make this even a little bit easier would be maybe half magic, just with that that Master Sword. But between the Master Sword, having the boots, having a hammer, and having the Fire Rod, he's not going to have a hard time of this.
Alright, so the mirror not at the smiths, unfortunately.
Yeah. We're getting a nice key dash in that first room in the back of Skullwoods. It's one of those nice setups that the game has in a few places where it's just completely free to get. You just have to gently slide around that little block in the middle, and you'll get it every time. All right, and jumping into the Mothua fight, let's see how it goes. So opting for an initial spin, which I think is a good call with the Master Sword. With the Tempered Sword, you usually go for a strat where you do a bonk up into that center block right at the start of the fight, and if you do it properly, you actually get 2 full-strength Tempered Sword hits off of it, and then you just need 2 more slashes, and he's down before the spikes even start moving.
So Willard's going to attempt to use some hammer strats to make this a little less painful, but
yeah, he's going to have to be careful, though. He's gotten himself into a little bit of a situation here and paid the price.
He's still got that fairy.
Yeah, okay.
He's got 1.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man.
Baited by Willard.
Yeah, that's one of those, you know, slapping my head moments for sure. Wow.
And we're gonna dip back inside and check this last chest. This is a pretty good routing decision on account of not having the mirror.
Yeah. The interesting question is whether he's going to save and quit out of here without the mirror, or whether he's actually going to take the time to walk out. Ooh,
I knew it! I knew it! I was like, if this is Tempered Sword, he's going to be real mad.
Yeah, that's a little bit annoying. That is definitely a little bit annoying, because he knows just how much freer that fight would have been if he had had that Tempered Sword. But it looks like Willard now going to go make his jump into Ice Palace. And he will be checking one chest, the big chest that we did not see checked before. And he will have a little bit of an easier time running through here and taking care of the boss.
So how bad do you feel if this is the bow?
In the big chest here in Ice?
Yeah.
Ooh, I mean, I feel good for Willard, but yeah, it's gonna be pretty brutal, you know, and that's the way that Keysanity goes. You know, little tiny decisions because of how deep the logic train goes, or chain, sorry, you know, can really skew things pretty radically. Willard's already got a pretty nice crystal advantage here, and if he got the bow in that chest, that would magnify that substantially.
All right, so Karma picks up that Misery Mire big key.
Okay, Willard going to be showing off the 2-bomb strat in here. Unfortunately, getting a little bit trolled on the back end of that, and not actually being able to hit the switch with the second bomb.
So the upside on that is you don't have to hit the switch when you come through here, yes?
Correct. It's, generally it's nicest when you come in here with sword beams. You can go ahead and just fire a couple beams across, kill the guy, and then dash right through, get the key, and head down south. But ultimately, it's a really minor time difference in the grand scheme of things. But it does feel real good when you get it.
So, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this, because if you have the big key and you have the small key and you have the Cane of Samaria, is there really any reason to bomb jump?
So it's not strictly necessary to do it. Now that said, it doesn't
is
really.
It faster in any way?
Not really. I mean, it's if you're confident with the bomb jump, and you know that you can get it, quickly.
Ooh, there are the silvers in Turtle Rock.
If you're confident with the bomb jump, there's it's hard to imagine a situation where you're going to be punished for doing it. So most players will just always do it so long as they're comfortable with it.
All right. But yeah, we found the silver arrows there in Turtle Rock in the very first chest. So that's going to be useful once you pick up something to shoot them with.
Yeah, now the interesting question, depending on what we get out of the big chest here in Ice Palace, it is possible that Willard may never need to go into Turtle Rock. It is a pendant.
Ooh, Karma finds a vanilla small key.
That's a nice find, actually. So that's gonna give him a bit more access than he would have had otherwise. So the whole I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, I was gonna point out. Fun fact: both of our runners here have picked up every single arrow upgrade in the game. Yep, we got all the arrows we can handle, but no bow. Willard taking that bomb jump across here to go and grab this iced tea room super quickly. Ice Palace filled with fun bomb jumps. There are actually 3 of them that are in use.
So the pokies with Master Sword are significantly worse than with Tempered Sword.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I figured this out the other day. The reason, so you can do.
Ooh, Karma. Okay. So this is one of those. Sorry to interrupt real quick. This is one of those interesting choices here. So, choosing to open that vanilla big key chest in Keysanity when you're potentially short keys to get all the way back to the back is a dangerous situation. Now, he doesn't know that the fire rod is not here, right? So, from his perspective, he just opened himself up to the possibility of finding the fire rod but not being able to finish the dungeon.
Yeah, I think he might be betting very hard against needing to kill Trinex on account not it being a pendant.
Yeah, and I don't blame him for hoping it, but definitely for banking on it. It's a mistake we've all made, and sometimes it's fine, but that's one of those things where, compared to, say, open mode, Keysanity, you can get a lot more punishing in terms of those little minor checks.
Yeah, so these pokies, they've got several sections, and each one you hit counts for damage.
Yeah.
Now Willard making much shorter work of Cold Stare. with that fire rod and tempered sword.
Unfortunately, I did not see what Willard got out of the big chest, but I'm going to assume it was nothing too crazy just from looking at the tracker here.
Just a compass, it looks like.
Okay, so we are still very much on the hunt for that bow.
We've got another pod key in the big chest of Turtle Rock.
All right.
So that's going to bring Karma up to the magic number of 5.
Yeah, so I forget whether Karma knew the hammer jump or not, but if he does, that's a full clear of the dungeon.
Oh yeah, he did it.
Okay.
He actually did it the first time he came in that room, so he had to come back to do the other section.
Right, right.
And I think that was the 6th pod key.
Yeah. Oh, Willard picking up the powder out of King's Tomb.
All right, now we're in business. It's like we found the powder. I can start playing now.
Yeah, powder. I think it's definitely, in my opinion, it's the best safety in the game. It's the one that allows you to manufacture your own health in way more places than almost anything else can be used.
It's the world's greatest scrub insurance, and believe me, I need to take out scrub insurance.
I think scrub insurance might be one of my new favorite terms. I think that. Yeah, I think I might have to start using scrub insurance. I think that's a good one. And finding half magic
Vanilla half
on
magic.
on the magic bat. So wow. All right. So oh my gosh.
Oh, the mirror.
Okay. Well.
But again, we don't know if we even need that mirror.
No, we just got a useless Hyrule Castle small key. But wow, yeah, that mirror, that's really interesting. So, he did get the safety entrance, so he can't just mirror back out to Mimic Cave.
Yep.
But it looks like he's going to walk back through.
Oh yeah, he's going to walk back through. Yeah, that makes sense.
So I think Willard's going to go...
picked up the mirror. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Willard's going to go check the tablet over here, and then he might end up diving into Turtle Rock afterward. Willard actually in a position to be able to beat Trinex, and we do know that that vanilla big key chest has nothing of value, so Willard may be going all the way here and seeing if he can't find something on Trinex.
He certainly could go all the... Anyway, I'm done.
He absolutely could. I think it's pretty likely that he does, actually. Given how late in the dungeon the mirror is, being all the way back on Laser Bridge, I think the odds of him jumping out as soon as he gets that are pretty low. The Trinex fight is quite quick.
So Karma takes that 1/2 heart of damage. He made it all the way to the double pokey room again. But with his current equipment, that room is the worst.
Yeah.
There's no... He doesn't have fire rod, so he can't one-shot him with that. He doesn't have tempered sword, so he can't, double spin them to death. He's just, completely shot.
Yeah. Now these are rooms that Willard's going to have a much easier time of, as well as being able to check the 2 additional chests in the front right.
So Willard picking up those silver arrows. Which means that Ganon fight will be significantly shorter.
Yeah. Not actually by as much as people think, but enough to make a competitive difference for sure.
Right.
Alright, so about to give us some new information here in Turtle Rock with these right-side chests.
It's enough of a difference where I might, check the final chest on the way up Ganon's tower.
Oh, absolutely. no question. Useless hierarchy, and just a big 20, so... Fortunately for Karma, unfortunately for Willard, those chests not mattering at all.
Alright, and we will now get to see what is in the Mimic Cave.
Yep. So the trick to this Mimic Cave room, for people who don't know, if you actually grab the railing without any directional input, you can then use the D-pad while you're holding A to actually move those mimics around, which makes it a lot quicker to do.
Oh yeah, you can use that strategy in Gan's Tower as well.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, a lot of people think you have to like hold a different direction or something. No, it's just you grab it without any input, and then just start moving.
Yep. So Karma now electing to fleet away after doing his Mimic Cave check, which makes perfect sense in his scenario. He doesn't have that fire rod, can't do anything anyway, but...
with access to that mirror, he's gonna head into Swamp, it looks like.
Yep. And it makes sense. It's fully accessible to him at this point, I believe. I think he has the... We know he has the small key. I think we got the big key at some point.
Yeah, we sure did. It was Paradox Cave, I think.
Yep. So unfortunately, Willard...
Moldworm Cave, yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Willard also went and got the vanilla big key chest in Turtle Rock.
No!
So he will not be beating Trinex, actually.
I wonder if there was like a gentleman's agreement to both go check that.
I doubt it.
Yeah, me neither.
I think, you know, I think what may very well be the case is just saying, hey, it's a pendant, I'm gonna go for it, you know, and optimize for chests, but it's definitely a little bit of a gamble. It's one of those guaranteed 50-50s that you often encounter in this game.
Yeah, I can't really fault anybody for making that call.
No, not at all. I mean, you know, I think it's if it was a crystal, it would be, you know, much more questionable decision. With a pendant, it's a really, you know, it's an interesting choice.
Yeah, the only time I would think that you might not check that is if you knew for some reason something was on the pedestal.
So I think that the one interesting reason for Willard in particular to skip that chest in favor of going to the boss is the fact that he does have the fire rod and the ice rod. So he knows that whether he's missed another Turtle Rock key somewhere else, Trinex, you know, is pretty close to being in the logic, if not already in the logic. And that's a reason to consider, you know, skipping that in favor of the boss. But again, you can't really fault him for going either way with it.
Now, of course, we know that you can have a single vanilla small key here on Laser Bridge. It's possible.
Absolutely.
And so anything that you find here could also lead to a Turtle Rock small key.
Absolutely.
But for all we know, you could find one here in Swamp Palace.
You certainly could.
Willard
so Willard
did not take the safety door.
So you can see just how much quicker that is, and a lot of it comes down to confidence in getting to Laser Bridge, but then also being really confident in those laser skips and knowing that you'll be able to make it through there with the kind of health you're going to want.
And we see Willard using those grabbing strats to move the mimic to the location you want it, so that
Absolutely.
You can destroy it.
Yeah, it's a pretty radical change to the efficiency of that room. Meanwhile, Karma in Swamp. What's interesting, I think, is that Karma has been a little bit ahead of Willard in terms of his exploration of some of these dungeons, but Willard with a substantial crystal advantage right now, largely just from routing them in something closer to the expected order in the logic. Some of that is luck, some of that skill, but it's interesting to see the difference that comes up just based on minor ordering changes.
Yeah. Is Willard about to go check the spike cave? Is that what's happening here?
I think that's what's about to happen. He knows that he has access to the cape, right? And I'm not sure if he went and grabbed it off the island, but no, he did not. But he knows it's in logic now because that cape is available. And being up here, it's a good time to go check it.
Yeah, and you can get through there with hookshot and 14 hearts just fine.
That's correct. Spike Cave, apparently very similar to getting the Master Sword in Breath of the Wild.
Yep. You took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah, I think you need one more heart for Spike Cave than you do for the Master Sword, but otherwise very similar. Alright, so I don't think we've seen too much here in Swamp yet, but Karma making his way back to the back. Interesting thing, there's actually a little technique you can do in this room, where if you actually do a hook shot item dash onto that skull on the left-hand side, you'll actually get a, it's not like super speed, but you'll get a little bit of a speed boost. And it makes grabbing that pot from underneath the statue in the back a little bit easier.
Interesting. So Willard did the checkerboard cave check first. He may be electing to do some of these overworld mirror spots before heading to Swamp, or maybe just that one.
Yeah, so, one thing that's interesting is, there's certain schools of thought to reading about, or sort of reading the logic, and one of those ideas, right, is that the more progression that a location is blocked behind, potentially the more valuable it is and the more likely it is to contain something in the chain. So Checkerboard Cave being blocked behind the flute and the Titan's Mitts and the mirror can be a potentially pretty lucrative location. And it's also a fast check.
It's also one of the weird places that the Moon Pearl can be.
It is absolutely possible to find the Moon Pearl there, yes. And it's generally quite frustrating when you do, but it's absolutely possible.
And Willard's gonna check that Bombos tablet.
Yep. Similar deal, blocked behind a few different pieces of progression. Just recently became unlocked. There are a lot of reasons to think that there might be something here at this point.
Just a little bit of money. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but so it looks like what Willard is looking for, as far as getting this done, is the bow and the Gens Tower big key.
I believe that's correct. We have all the keys we need to finish Pod and Eastern. And Swamp not really giving us much, but we did get that green pendant. So we may find something on Sahasra. I'm not sure where else it could be at this point, to be honest. Like we've seen, Willard has generally had full clear access to most of the dungeons he's been in, so he hasn't really left anything behind.
Could it be in, like, Harmless Hellway?
It is possible. I believe in the version that we're playing here, it's absolutely possible for that to be the case. It didn't used to be, but I believe it can be now.
And I think both players skipped that chest, so...
Yep.
So.
Oh my goodness.
There's Ozrala.
Okie doke. Well, fortunately, Willard making the right choice here as long as he doesn't leave the dungeon early. I think at this point he's planning to finish, knowing that this is the green pendant, knowing that he's diving a potentially long dungeon.
Right. I don't think he'll find anything in here that will make him want to leave early.
No, no, he's not going to get any progression that leads him somewhere else definitively.
So, if you are Karma right now, so we know that he needs to go get the fire rod out of desert.
Yes.
Once you pick up the fire rod, do you just clear the dungeons and hope the big key is in Ganon's tower?
You know, I think that I think you do. Honestly, you know, I mean, you know, the dungeons that he has left to do, you know, I don't know. He's already done most of the clearing and the ones that would be inconvenient. So even if he chooses to, you know, not quite go mode and just assume, you know, I think it's not going to slow him down very much at all. But Willard definitely has a bit of an advantage right now. You know, Karma got that bow, and that's definitely a really good thing for him. But Willard has a very sizable crystal lead right now, and once he gets the bow, he's going straight back to Pod, and then he's going to mirror out and finish Eastern. He's going to be ready to go.
I don't think they're going to finish Pod.
Oh wait, is Pod a pendant? Pod is a pendant. Yeah, they're not going to go back there. He might actually route it in the Dark World and just decide to go check that front chest and run right back out.
Yeah, that might happen.
Yeah, I think, you know, with the big key out there, that's a check that's probably still worth it. He skipped the Harmless Hellway though, so it's going to be a little bit more of a walk.
Yeah, but he also, you know, there's also those chests that are locked by the bow, so that you could get like 3 chests doing that.
Yeah, that is true.
So it's kind of in the air. I'm not exactly sure what I would do at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see what these players decide to do. But I think the odds of a GT big key being in GT is they're pretty high at this point, given what we've got. All right, so Willard opting to check the left side, not choosing to go rush the back. I think he's definitely playing a little bit conservatively for sure.
You got that small key to Ganon's tower there. That's gonna just make the trip into Ganon's tower a little easier if you can find the big one.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it might be, you know, necessary for the purposes of exploration.
Was that actually our first GT small key that we got?
To the best of my knowledge.
Yeah, that's really, really late, actually. There's so many GT small keys that ordinarily, you know, we've got, 2, 3, 4 of them by this stage of the game.
Yeah, tile room is definitely a possibility for the big key. And in fact, I see some people check that earlier in Keysanity mode.
Yeah, you definitely still don't want to do it. It's a time-consuming location, but I think that certainly. So one thing that's true about Keysanity that's never possible in open or standard mode is that GT Big Key may be blocked behind something in Ganon's tower, but not actually in Ganon's tower. So certainly before bailing out of Ganon's tower and going on the hunt for something, you're definitely going to check tile room before you do that.
Yeah, the forced Ganon's tower double dips are always fun, in air quotes.
Yeah. But they do happen, they are possible, and nobody likes them.
So I would say that Willard has probably got the lead here, especially since he's about to pick up the bow, mainly because he's got that fire rod.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Willard like I said, he's ready to go. He just needs to, go clean up a couple things. Whereas Karma still needs to go hunt for an item.
Now, as long as Willard immediately goes to turn this in, he'll be in good shape.
I think at this point, making the choice to go into Green Pendant Swamp, I think there's no question that that's where he's going right after this. The only question is whether he decides to go over there in the Dark World, so that he can potentially go check stuff in Pod if it doesn't work out.
Yeah. You know what would be the dumbest big key location right now, other than Pedestal, which is always dumb?
What's that?
Pyramid Fairy.
Oh, it is
because
possible.
They picked up the bow as their last item, and then that Eastern Palace is that last 5-6 crystals. So
yeah, I mean, definitely if we don't find it before that, I think it's pretty likely that they'll go check it. That's a fast enough location that I would be surprised if they actually went all the way up to GT without doing that.
It looks like Willard is not going immediately to Sahasrara, so...
No, this is interesting for Willard.
I think he might be going to check some of the other mirror locations, like Graveyard Ledge and Haunted Grove Ledge.
It's possible. Or he could be grabbing the purple chest.
Oh, yeah.
And he may be thinking... that's one of those things that you put off because it sucks so much to do. And you're kind of wondering about it for a while afterward. So he may just want to get it off of his mind.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to knock out the Haunted Grove... Nope, Graveyard Ledge. He starts heading north with the purple chest. Okay.
No, I think this makes perfect sense, because at this point he's going to have to mirror anyway to get the Graveyard Ledge, making excellent use of the hookshot to be able to dash with the chest, which ordinarily you cannot do. But you can do if you start dashing while you are either being damage boosted by an enemy, or if you start the dash while you are recovering from a hookshot, then you can dash with that chest.
Yeah, you do have
same
to
thing
make sure that you have enough time to start that dash.
Correct.
Like if you do a real quick hookshot, you're not going to have time.
Yeah, the same trick is actually applicable with the Super Bomb for the Pyramid Fairy Cave.
There's your another Ganon's Tower small key. That'll make it easier to traverse, at least.
Yep.
And now he's just going to flute over to 7, go turn that in, and then maybe do the ledge. I like this route. If you're going to check all these locations, it seems like the best.
Yeah, no, I think that this is a very, very smart route. And unfortunately, just that cane of Burna.
Somebody call Brian, tell him we found his cane. Okay,
so we are fluting to 5, which I think definitely means it's going to go up in the Dark World. If you are not going to go up in the Dark World and you're going directly to Sahasrara, fluting to Link's house and running from there is potentially a little bit faster. But yeah, I think he's planning to dip back into Pod. Once he gets that bow, he may go opt to complete Armos Knights before diving into Pod.
He's getting that mirror ready. Karma is going to go finish Mire and still kind of staying out of Desert. He doesn't have the big key for Desert.
Not according to the tracker, no. Maybe we'll double check that next time he opens his inventory. I forget where we got that, actually. I feel like that was quite a while ago.
Yeah. Oh, it was a dig spot.
Oh.
And that it makes plenty of sense that he hasn't found that.
Yeah, he does have that shovel. It's an interesting one to put off, but
I mean, they basically picked up the shovel after the flute, though, right? Which means if you didn't mark that down, you may have completely forgotten that you got it.
It's true. Well, here's hoping he remembers that, because that's definitely going to be necessary for him. So he does have a little bit of a leg up in terms of coming into this fight on Willard, and by a little, I mean a lot, because he'll be doing the Silver Arrow version of the Vitreous fight, which is 100% free, so long as you can aim.
Basically a joke.
Yeah. Get that 0 cycle every time.
Don't even need no scrub insurance.
Nope. Alright, so what's the worst thing that could happen to Willard here? You know, what could we get on Armos Knights that would make this interesting? We could get the mushroom. I haven't seen that yet.
Karma has cleared this.
Oh, did he do this? Did he do Armos Knights? Okay, I missed that.
Did Armos, and I don't remember what they dropped, but I don't believe it was important.
Yeah. Well, obviously not.
Yeah, big 20.
Alrighty. Well, Willard, I think we have no choice but to dive back into pod now.
It's like, so does he go pod, or does he just hope it's in GT?
I think being right here, I think you have to dive back in. You know, it'd be one thing if we had to traverse the whole world to get back here, but I mean, we're right here. You know, we've got the bow. We can go straight to that right side, get 2 chests there, and then run to the back if we need to.
Yeah. Still can't get the big chest or the chest or the item at Helmosaur, but what can you do, right?
I think he's going to do this, and then I think we will probably see the Pyramid Fairy check. I think he'd be hard-pressed to decide to go up to GT before making that check.
And then I think at one of these locations we'll see a big key, but it'll be the pod one, just to troll you.
Yeah.
Best item in that chest.
Okay. Seemed like maybe he was thinking a second. I don't know if he...
Yeah, I think he's just leaving it. Yeah,
I think he did still have one. He did still have the Harmless Hellway chest, right?
Yeah. His compass read 11 out of 14.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's just going for GT. He's making the play.
You know, I mean, as far as the numbers go, it's the right play. As far as risk goes, from his perspective, it's debatable. You know, from our perspective, he's got enough of a crystal lead that I think he's okay, you know, to do this regardless. But man, if Pyramid Fairy or that chest and pod has it, he's gonna be real sad. Give me just 1 second. I'll be right back.
So yeah, Gan's Tower has, on the average, 14.5 locations where its big key can be placed. And the reason I say 14.5 is because at the beginning you get a random fill of 0 to 15 items of junk items in Gan's Tower. So on the average you can have anywhere from 7 to 22 locations where it can be placed. And Willard is entering Ganon's Tower. And we will see what we find. Over here on the right, 2 chests. Just a couple of things. And the Butter Sword. So the Butter Sword, not bad. But leaving behind a few explosions just to express his disapproval.
Yeah, the Butter Sword is not sad to find, but it's not what he wants. That's for sure.
There's
Handsome
the red mail.
Wow, okay. So it's just a final upgrade city in here.
And rip Bob, everybody. So Karma needs to go dig something up.
Yeah, he's gonna have to remember that he's got that shovel and go make this happen. That's the hard part. It's not actually doing the digging, it's remembering that you have to do the digging. Ooh, a castle tower key.
Oh boy, second chest in Agate Tower. That would be hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, the one good thing here is that given that Pyramid Fairy is the other location that we could potentially check, we can stack those checks if it comes down to that.
Hey, did you know Thief Town is a crystal? Well, now you do. Oh wait,
Yeah.
you already knew.
I'm a little bit bummed, you know, Willard choosing to go with these Samaria strats instead of the swag. Blue boomerang strats that I do love so much.
To be honest, I wasn't even aware he had the blue boomerang. So, so there you go.
Yeah, I'm going. I seem to. Yeah, he's got it.
I mean, yeah, he's got it. But just the boomerangs in general just sort of register in my brain so little. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Willard dropping some bombs for RNG manipulation right now.
Yes, that's clearly what's happening.
Yes. Everything is RNG manipulation.
And just a load of garbage in the rando room, not unlike what you normally find there.
Yeah, he did actually almost kill that jelly with that last frustration bomb, which would have been pretty satisfying to watch, I gotta say.
Yeah, but I mean, doesn't that invalidate all the RNG manipulation?
You'd think so, but in practice it's just more RNG manipulation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad we cleared that up.
Yeah, you know, the best thing about this game is that you can lie your way out of anything. If you're about to die, you just say, I'm about to take a death warp. If you're dropping bombs in random places, it's RNG manipulation. You can do whatever you want. Oh my god,
there it is!
Here's the big key.
It's Bob's chest. It's
all right. All right. Well, with that, you know, Willard has obviously got a pretty substantial lead here. I think it's going to be pretty challenging for him to fall behind at this point, especially with the current gear that he has. We can expect to see a pretty rapid-fire ascent up this gauntlet and a pretty smooth finish to the game.
Oh, that was a beautiful second Mimic Room. I got to figure out how to do that.
So, with the silver arrows, that room is pretty straightforward if you're comfortable with manipulating the mimics with your sword out. If you do not have the silver arrows, that room is a little bit more finicky and requires some extra attention to mimic placement.
Yeah, that's the official go mode for Keysanity. Once you've picked up all the keys and items you need, you are in it. Now, unfortunately, you know, he hit go mode inside Gen's tower, so
yeah,
nobody's real surprised about that. But there you go.
Well, you know, the thing about Keysanity, right, you know, and I know Willard wants to say this, and I certainly agree with him on it. Open and standard mode are about how many dungeons you get to go mode, right? How efficiently can I get to go mode? Keysanity is about how many dungeons do I end up having to double and triple dip. And, you know, if you watch the two racers here today, you can see, I mean, Willard has ended up creating substantially fewer, you know, double dips. He's routed very, very effectively.
Willard with the patented triple spin, you know, three-way spin strat after the delay from the bunny beam there.
Yeah, you can get ping-ponged around in there a little bit. And I actually saw a really cool clip earlier today of somebody pinging around in a circle all three lambos, and it was pretty great.
So that mirror over in Turtle Rock was absolutely required.
Yep. The only thing you can really be sad about here is that you didn't just rush the back and go turn in the green pendant. But, you know, that would have been a hard choice to make.
Yeah, basically, with the mirror being the item that lets you into Swamp, all 11 of those items, the 10 of the 10 in the chests and then the 11th from the pendant kind of unlocked at the same time. So they all seem equally likely.
Yeah, interesting that Willard opted to use torch or lantern shots in here rather than just picking up the full magic refill. Kind of curious as to why he did that.
Well, I think it's to avoid having to wait on the torches to stop and to avoid the despawn glitch.
If you did the previous room at the right rate, you can grab it pretty safely. The risk of that despawn is relatively low.
And Willard managing to off Moldorm 2, no problem. He's gonna head past that last chest as he is a well-known detractor from final chest memes.
Yeah, the Moldorm 2 chest, as I like to call it, you know, really has no value at this point. So, you know, I fully support skipping it.
If you were still looking for silvers, maybe, but.
Yeah, you might open it, but at this point with the gear that these runners have, it's very nice.
I think all of those counted.
I think it's definitely possible. You know, it can be a little bit hard to tell until you get the final count, but they looked spaced enough apart. Unfortunately, getting a little bit trolled with these blue balls here from Aga 2. And yeah, definitely counted from the looks of it.
So 3-1-1-1, and WillardJBradley heads on to the Ganon fight. This is Buttersword Silvers. I mean, at this rate, it's probably looking at sub 2.
I think so. Yeah, I think barring a catastrophe here, this will be a pretty tidy sub 2. With Buttersword, you're in no risk of needing multiple cycles in the first 2 phases, and with Silvers, it's going to go very, very quickly.
Yeah, the major downfall here of Karma is he just completely forgot that he had the shovel.
Yeah. So we're going to use these dash strats. It's always nice when you have the boots. You can get those hits in very, very rapidly.
Yeah. For those of you who didn't know, that trident, while Ganon is spinning around in his hand, has no hitbox. You can just stand in there all you want.
That is correct. It's only when it's loose and flying as a projectile that you really have to worry about it. So seeing some frustration slashes, I think, over on Karma's side, and a little bit of nervous flute map navigation. He's starting to wonder, you know, what happened here.
Looks like he's gonna go get his vanilla half magic.
Yeah, it's not gonna be what he's looking for, unfortunately. Yeah, we're getting a nice setup for a double here, not that he needed it.
And there we go. Yeah, the sub 2 was pretty generous, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, with gold, sword, and silvers, you know, the Ganon fight is under a minute and a half for sure.
And there we go. WillardJBradley finishes in first place with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 58 minutes, and 59 seconds. Well played, WillardJBradley.
G frickin' G. GG. Let's see if we can get him in here. Maybe have a little chat about this seed.
Oh, Karma's going for the Ice Palace big chest.
Ooh, yeah, that's unfortunate. Yeah, at this point, you got to wonder if he really just forgot about that shovel. Unfortunately, it's one of those stacked items, so it's sitting underneath their flute, and it's real easy to forget about it if you don't use an external tracker or really go do a deep dive in your inventory.
So hopefully we'll be able to talk to Willard here in a minute. I'm sure he'd make for an interesting interview at the moment.
I would imagine so. This was definitely an interesting one. Not terribly punishing, just definitely interesting.
Yeah, most of Willard's decisions kept him mostly within the logic. He just kind of stuck to that for a lot of it.
Yeah, no, I mean, Willard got off sequence just a tiny little bit here and there, especially in the early game, but ultimately, stayed on sequence for most of the run and just kind of, followed it through. Really, that Swamp Palace green pendant to the bow was the only real, hurdle for him this run.
Yeah, and of course that the fact that the shovel continues to elude karma.
Yeah, and that's
right in his inventory.
I have so much sympathy and empathy for that. We've all been there, right? You just lose track of something, and it's a real hard thing. But hopefully he gets it figured out. And realizing that Ice Palace dive is not going to be the thing that fixes it for him.
Hello, Willard. Congratulations.
Hello. Thank you so much.
GG.
Thanks. So, break it down. What happened?
Wow.
I believe your opponent lost the shovel in his own inventory.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was a big key, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Desert Palace big key, which led to the fire rod.
It's pretty significant. I had actually forgotten what the shovel led to, so it's good to know.
Yeah.
Other than that, well, yeah, he needs the fire rod. He's already gotten the bow. Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he's done basically everything. He got the bow before you did.
I'm sure. I'm sure he went into T-Rock the first time he was up there in the Dark World.
Yep.
And that, how many times am I going to find a vanilla T-Rock key in vanilla that changes my entire routing in T-Rock?
Yeah.
The only reason I didn't go in was because I had only 2 keys. I'm like, well, that doesn't seem very useful. And I think I got the Meyer big key in Hookshot Cave. So I was like, well, let's go do a crystal instead.
Yep. Now, I think, all throughout the seed, you went off sequence a couple of times, but it ended up being not really off sequence by very much at all. But, you routed pretty straight through the seed. Really, it was that Swamp Palace green pendant, Sahasrara bow thing that was the only real big hurdle for you. Karma ended up ping-ponging around a little bit more because he was going into dungeons a little bit less equipped to full clear them.
It's hard to make those decisions of do I check single overworld locations? Do I go into dungeons without the means to full clear it minus killing the boss maybe or whatnot? Because what lost me the race last time was putting off Pendant Swamp forever, and then of course I get another Pendant Swamp, and I got the big key and the small key really early. I'm like, all right. Where's that mirror?
Yeah.
And towards the end of it, I'm just like, please don't give him the mirror. Please don't give him the mirror. Or I was kind of half expecting it to be get the bow, to get into G Tower, to get the mirror, to go get the big key or something stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah, so even when I got the green pendant, I was like, well, let's go check this location. Like, let's go turn in purple chests. Let's go do these single locations, because for routing wise, it only made sense to go straight into pod. If Sahasrahla was a bust, to go check that one chest. So that's why I went ahead and did the other stuff first. But...
Yep. So real quick, I think Karma just remembered they have the shovel. They went in the menu and pressed Y. So I think they're on their way now to go get that key and start progressing.
Did Karma have the bow before doing Meyer? I don't know if that was a...
Yes, he did. So he got to do...
he had it before he went to finish it.
That's correct.
Yeah, he went in without the big key.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, speaking of which, that was a pretty nice Master Sword Vitreous fight. You got a little bit close to dying, but with the potions, I don't think you were in much danger.
Yeah, I decided to go for it. I'm still mad about that Mothula double KO. Like that. Oh, nice work, Karma.
Yeah,
it's good stuff.
Yeah, I enjoyed you getting that fairy revival and then immediately watching Mothula die.
It actually made me mad, but at the same time, I was like, that sounds like something that would happen to me, so I'll allow it.
Yeah.
Well, at least you didn't get the double kill and not have the fairy.
Right. I was tempted to use my blue potion, but I had so many hearts. I was like, I could hit him one more time with a hammer, probably. Yeah. But then he just kept on... I just kept on...
What really trolled you was when you got out of there and you go to the chest that's sitting right there. And it's the tempered sword. Yeah.
I mean, there's no real way to route that well unless you have the mirror. Like, that's the only way to do it. Unless you intended on, like if you had gone into that part of Skull Woods with, 3 hearts, you could have gotten it and then death warped. But I still had the fairies, so I was like, nope, can't do that. And then I get the tempered sword, I'm like, well, that's funny, but at least I have this for Cold Stare.
Yeah, definitely going into Ice Palace with the Fire Rod and the Tempered Sword when Karma went in with the Master Sword and just Bombos. It's a pretty big difference in terms of how that dungeon feels to work your way through.
Well, it was like a 50-50 for me at that point, because I got the Ice Palace big key in Desert, and I was like, okay, well, let's go to Ice Palace next. And then I get the Fire Rod, and I'm like, well, let's go to Skull Woods instead, because, if I get the bow, then I could potentially even go mode Ice Palace if I really wanted to. But, which would have worked in this case, since the big key wasn't there. But it's so hard to, make those decisions in Keysanity when the big key could literally be anywhere. I was so relieved when the purple chest was the Cane of Brian, because I was like, if this was the bow, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
There's no way around that. So that, I actually, it was so relieving. I was like, thank you. Also, a guy named Gary. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Speaking of relief, how were you feeling when you found that GT big key in Bob's chest?
Shout outs to Bob. Too bad he had to die for that red tunic. It was good. It's always weird routing G Tower. So when you get lucky and it works out, then you're like, all right, good. Because normally I do Stalfos room and then full right side and then mirror back and do full left side.
Okay.
But this time I was like, we're not doing anything dumb here. Let's just do the standard route that most players do in case Karma's right behind me or already ahead of me.
Interestingly enough, this time with that Cane of Berna that you had going full right might actually have been a little bit faster.
Oh yeah, no doubt. But full right all the way to Ice Armmost is also kind of a weird, silly play.
Oh yeah, it's
because there's more chests going left.
Yeah,
I do have to ask, why does the Cane of Berna make that faster?
It's the Berna dash through the
falling bridge.
Yeah,
the room after the key room.
Correct.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I was so I saw that cape up there and I was like, all right, well that's interesting. So when I got the mirror out of T-Rock, I immediately thought Spike Cave because I was like, that'd be fitting, mirror to cape to whatever. But then I found nothing in there. I think it was a heart piece. So it's really hard to try and read what the game wants you to do. and it's also even like more difficult to just be like, I'm just gonna go right into the next dungeon, which is what it wanted you to do for the most part.
Yeah.
So, shout out to Sahasrara having my bow.
Absolutely.
And, I even after taking out Armos, I'm like, I'm gonna check some more bow spots real quick. So I went ahead and did those 2 in pod. Got that good old green rupee. That's great.
That's an important item to have.
No doubt.
So, can I ask you about the decision you made in Turtle Rock? Specifically, the decision to open that. Yeah. Both of you made that decision actually, which is interesting.
I mean, when it's a pendant, you know, and I'm looking for the bow. There's no way that bow could be on the pedestal. Of course, you know, G-Tower Big Key could have been there, but it just, I feel like logically it makes more sense to just go ahead and check that as opposed to, because I'm not getting, if like Trinex was holding the green pendant, maybe I would have done that, but it's just one item versus another item.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only, Karma, it made perfect sense. He did not have the Fire Rod, obviously, at the time. It couldn't have beaten Trinex if he wanted to. I think the interesting thing was because you had found both rods, so for you it actually was beatable, you know, and I would be wondering about that, you know, being the sort of logic path that they're trying to get you to go down. But, I mean, at the end of the day, mathematically, you're completely correct, obviously.
I mean, it's a 50-50. Like,
yeah.
It could have been something like, get a junk item, and then, go to Laser Bridge to get the mirror, to go into Swamp to get a small key for T-Rock to go right back up and kill Trinex for the bow. That could have happened. But I was willing to take that chance. And if that lost me the game, then, that's just the way it is.
Well, fortunately, it worked out for you today.
Yeah. I guess I'm curious how close it would have been had he not messed up the shovel.
You know, you guys were not, he was keeping up with you in terms of sort of world exploration. I think you would have had an edge, largely just because, again, you were less willing to dive things that you couldn't complete. Mm-hmm. And so you ended up doing everything just a little bit more efficiently from a routing standpoint. But aside from that shovel spot, it was not that far off.
Yeah, the only things I had to double dip was I double dip Thieves or Tower of Hera, double dip Thieves Town, double dip Pod. Well, I didn't really have to double dip Pod, double dip Eastern, and I think that was it. Yeah, so on a scale of 1 to double dip, it's not too bad. I'll settle.
I think you can even just ignore that Eastern double dip. That's barely even a double dip.
True. Yeah, Eastern. Can we ignore the Thieves Town too? Bro.
We'll give you that one too. Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you. But yeah, I also kind of considered going into Eastern Palace the first time I went over to there, as opposed to going up to Death Mountain. Mm-hmm. Just because that usually seems to be the trick. And I would have had, Moon Pearl and all that stuff a little bit earlier, but I guess it doesn't really matter.
I think with, it ended up working out for you just fine with no mitts available by that point either. I think if you had found mitts up there, that would have been really frustrating.
Yeah. And at the same time, bow was the last thing I got, so I more than likely would have gone into Eastern Palace again later.
Yep.
At some point, I would have gone in without the bow or means to complete it. So, but for sure. I felt like this seed was pretty generous at the beginning, and it kind of thinned out as usual. And it's just funny because, like, in my last race, T-Rock, the early T-Rock dip had nothing.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Laser Bridge. There's always something on Laser Bridge.
Always.
So at least Karma is going to have the Tempered Sword for the Mothiel fight.
Yep, he did go grab it first, so...
Help to have the mirror, of course.
Yep. He does also have half magic at this point, which I don't think Willard had when he came here, so he's going to get to... he's going to get to just kind of go ham in here a little bit.
That's not an item I usually see vanilla have.
Yeah, that was... That made me giggle a little bit when I saw that. I'm like, oh, okay, thanks, Pat. See ya. I don't remember where the powder was, though.
Yeah, I don't either.
Powder was King Soom. Yeah.
Yeah, King Soom.
Well, GG to Karma. I'm bummed that he messed up like that. I would have loved to see it a little bit closer. So now it's kind of hard to read if like I played well or not, because I don't feel like I played that well.
You know, I think at the end of the day, you sub-2'd in Keysanity, which is at worst an above average finish. And you know, from our perspective, certainly your execution was on point for the whole run. And you know, aside from I think one little death there, but you know, really it was just that, you know, that question of when you go into swamp, you know, versus what you do. But at the end of the day, I certainly don't think you could say that you played poorly. Worst case scenario, you played pretty well. That's just my opinion.
I'll take it.
Yep, seems pretty good. So, anything else you want to say to our chat before you take off?
Well,
I mean, you could hang around as far as I'm concerned, if you wanted to, but I
happy
assume you have better
Valentine's
things
Day.
to do.
Me better things to do. That's funny. But no, I'll let you guys commentate. So yeah, thank you guys so much as well for commentating. Shouts to Trojan Dude for tracking, and of course everybody for watching. And give me tear for round 3, 4, round 4. So you heard it here first. All right, see you guys.
All right, have a good one. All right, so Karma on his way up to G Tower. Or is he? What's he doing?
He appears to be checking more of the overworld before he heads there.
Has he not done the tablet? No,
Or
he
maybe
just
he just forgot he was in the light world.
Yeah, he just
I mean, at this point, you're on tilt.
He's you know, he's a badly maintained pinball machine at this point. I mean, he has been tilted for a while, so.
So yeah, now he's heading over to Ganon's Tower. I thought maybe he was going to check Ether Tablet.
Yeah, I don't remember if he had checked that already, but regardless, it's not the play right now. So if he's lucky, he makes a beeline straight for Bob's chest, gets that key, and fortunately he should have a relatively straight shot to the end of the game after that.
Right. Now, I don't know if he'll want to talk to us after this, but I'm sure we'd be willing to.
I'm certainly, you know, willing to talk to him. I'd love to talk to him, beyond willing to talk to him, but I also wouldn't blame anybody for wanting to not. You know, I've been there.
Odd of this and not let anyone see.
Yeah, I can tell you that when you lose the way I did in my last race, talking was a challenge, but so I don't blame anybody for not sometimes just wanting a break. Looks like he is going to check Tile Room right now.
Interesting.
You know, at this point, given what he's been through, he already knows he lost. He might just be like, you know what, let's just do wacky things.
Yep, I kind of half expected him to check the pedestal after Skullwoods, just to be that guy.
And just a big 20. So it does look like he's going to go right. So if he goes full right, he will, Tile Room notwithstanding, actually end up at his big key a little bit quicker than Willard did.
Oh, he did check the pedestal. Never mind.
Oh, did he?
Shows you what I know.
Oh my
the
goodness.
pod big key.
Oh
boy.
God. I kind of wish that Willard had gone right side now. Only so that I could have asked him what was going through his mind when he picked up that pod big key.
Oh no, he's mirroring out.
I mean, he's gonna get it soon anyway, but yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate that he didn't just run through.
Yeah, we've basically gone full tilt at this point.
And totally understandably, though. I mean, when you get into the situation that he was in with that shovel, you're frazzled. I've been there, and it's not fun. And seriously, show some love for all of our runners and for Karma for finishing, sticking with it and finishing this out. One, when you've seen your opponent done a little while ago, but two, when you've just figured out something like this. I give huge amounts of respect to anybody for sticking with it at this point, and I think that's a really awesome thing to do.
Yeah, just the sportsmanship involved in actually finishing
absolutely
this race, because I know a lot of people would have just forfeit the second they saw the shovel in their inventory.
Absolutely. I mean, I would have thought about it, no lie, and so seriously, props to people for sticking with it.
But we are getting boomerang strats.
We are. He's
not
using
the blue ones,
yeah.
But
those red boomerang strats are cool too. I'm just a little bit biased against the red boomerang.
Yeah, you're not a fan of lag frames?
I am not.
See, I find that lag frames are my friend because they give me more time to react.
That's definitely one way to look at lag frames.
Basically, that's my anything but tempered sword Mothula fight.
All right. Wow. Yeah, I like that. Somebody in chat referring to your technique as lag buffering.
Yep.
And yeah, I think that might have to be a thing now. Lag buffer strats.
Yeah, I'm not lagging the game. I'm just lag buffering.
Right. No, it's all 100% intentional.
It's not a death. It's a death warp.
Exactly. It's
not a bonk. It's RNG manipulation.
Absolutely. I mean, the best part about lag buffering is that it's also RNG manipulation. So.
Yeah. Clearly.
Yeah, everything is. All right, well, Karma about to be very happy to find his GT big key in GT, as long as he doesn't accidentally fall down the hole. Yeah, he's okay.
For some value of the word happy, yeah.
So, I mean, he's happier than he would have been otherwise.
That's true.
All right, and entering the beginning of the gauntlet here, choosing to use the statue strat to manipulate these guys. So one trick to these mimics is that, as he's doing now, when you got your sword out, they will move, and you can actually do that even when you're not moving by actually just swiping your sword very quickly, which you'll see a lot of the higher tier runners doing to get those things into position a little bit more quickly without having to go grab the ledge and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and of course, the fact that you're just slashing means that you're not creating that lag that we were talking about a minute ago.
Absolutely correct, yes. Although, interestingly enough, right now we are every frame of the game is actually slower than it would be otherwise because we have got that big shield. And actually both the butter sword and that mirror shield create additional lag on every frame of the game.
Really?
Yes.
I thought that was just Tear exaggerating.
Nope, that is actually true. Believe it or not, it scares me when it happens, but occasionally Tear and I are actually in agreement on things, and in this case, it is absolutely the case.
Because he does not like shields.
No, he does not. Tear is not a fan.
But like the fire shield doesn't create that much lag, does it?
So what's interesting is that additional sprites, including the shield, always contribute. But I forget the exact reason. Ooh, we got to be careful here. But the riot shield, the mirror shield. Oh no, does he have a fairy? No, he does not.
Doesn't look like it.
Oof.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a it's a moment of silence right there. You know, you gotta, after having been through so much, that type of death, you know, it's just, again, that much more frustration piled on.
So this is the point where, if I were playing, because, you know, as I stated before, not good at this game, I would go back outside, mirror, grab the bug net, and then come back in and catch the silly fairies.
Yeah, I gotta talk to you. I gotta talk to you after class, Bob, because you know, I think that you and Sakura Tsubasa need to start a little club about that bug net, because she loves that thing, and yeah, you two are fascinating.
Well, look, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it's good for speedruns. It's certainly not good for speedruns.
Well, I tell you what, I mean, she is faster at the Aga 2 fight with that bug net than she is with the sword. So, you know, I don't know if I can even say that in that particular case.
Well, there you go. I just need to learn how to geometry as far as that fight goes. But yeah, I have done net dash strats on that, and that's fun.
Yeah, all those little swaggy strats, you know, it's good ways to, especially, you know, when you're practicing this game a lot, you end up doing so many of these rooms so many times, you know, and sometimes it's just fun to mix it up a little bit and do something that, even if it's a few frames slower, just have a little fun, you know, make it a little bit swaggy.
So these gauntlet rooms, as you may notice, they're pretty random. Like, if you watched, you know, Karma go through the first time and the second time, it did not come to pass in the exact same way. They just happened to decide to pick the room or the types of enemies that move with basically the most amount of RNG I can think of.
So while it's true that there's a decent amount of RNG in the gauntlet, there's definitely some pretty broad patterns to the thing. So a lot of the strats that you'll see, some of the more experienced runners, especially the runners who do the vanilla speedrun, employ, are designed to either work in as many of those situations as possible, or alternatively, they have strats for each of the patterns that can occur there. It's not infinite possibilities. There's actually, you know, a few different common patterns that a lot of those rooms will take. But it is definitely true. This game is as much about, you know, reacting and adapting as it is about just rote memorization and execution.
It even interests me how the RNG kind of works, because I know that, like, I will try things like, you know, if you're on an emulator, like load a state and be hitting the exact same inputs at the same time and get completely different patterns.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting way that the RNG of the system works.
Yeah, it can be kind of fascinating. So Karma checking some additional chests. I'm not sure exactly what he's looking for here. Maybe a health safety of some sort. Or maybe just having fun opening chests. Yeah, it could be.
He's looking for memes. He's going to find them in the chests.
Apparently Ganon's been hoarding memes. I did not know.
Yep. I mean, who doesn't?
I try not to.
Well, there's your problem.
Oh man, this makes so much sense.
New currency.
This makes so much sense. All right, well, I know what I have to do going forward. I just have to meme harder.
Yeah, Bitcoin is falling, and then memes are rising. That's how the market goes.
Intriguing. Have they figured out how to mine memes on GPUs yet?
I mean, they have cat gifts. Does that count?
I mean, sure. All right, and Karma making it all the way up the gauntlet this time without really any difficulty whatsoever. Gonna check that Moldorm 2 chest just for fun. But on our way up to the Aga 2 fight momentarily. So just to recap here, in terms of what this means for the tournament going forward, so WillardJBradley will be 2-1 after this, which does keep him still in the running in the tournament. There is going to be a really big race-off for the last spot in the top 8, which will advance to brackets. So Willard still has a shot at that, being 2-1. For Karma, while his time in the tournament is not over yet, unfortunately, he's going to be unable to advance to the bracket stage. But there's still plenty of rando in his future to the tune of 3 more weeks.
Now, unless I'm completely out of my mind, which I could be, I think there is a weird scenario like where a bunch of pair downs lose.
Yeah.
Where you could end up with 2 slots available in that race.
So that is true. It is not impossible. That said, it seems highly unlikely. As I understand it, at least. All right, falling in the hole, getting ready for our final encounter with Ganon. Fingers crossed.
Ganon just throwing the shade today.
Absolutely. Ganon loves drama, and he likes to create it.
He throws the shade and the spear and the fireballs. He just throws everything.
It's true. He does. He spits hot fire. He drops shade. It's crazy.
So I have to ask you, is the Saru part of your name, is that supposed to be Japanese for monkey, or am I making that up?
Nope, you've got it exactly correct.
Okay, then.
Yep. And it's mostly because I just always thought that the idea of a monkey dressed up as a scene kid looked really funny. So there you go. It's Emo Saru.
Very nice. This is not the last race of the night, actually. There's another one that just started about 40 minutes ago, to the best of my knowledge.
All right, and Karma getting the torch glitch, making things just that much easier for him. Ooh, got to be a little bit careful still with those fire bats, but this is a nice... Oh, that could have been a double.
So what's the trick to getting a triple? Like, if you happen to line it up correctly, do you just have to fire the arrows as fast as humanly possible, or what?
That's correct. So a little bit of background for anybody who doesn't know. In order to get a double or a triple, once Ganon has hit the edge of the arena, you are unable to continue to hit him with silver arrows. So you either need to pin him against a torch or shoot him all the way across the arena. Generally, to get a triple, you're looking to shoot him into a torch so that you can get closer to him and fire arrows more quickly. But having walked through the door, we can officially say GG to Karma, who has finished in second place with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 34 minutes, and 40 seconds.
And it looks like we have been joined by Karma. Well played, Karma, and congratulations on finishing. The seed is apologizing to you. We're not hearing anything coming through.
Yeah, I did see his voice indicator pop on for a second, but we may be having some technical difficulties. But as chat pointing out, 2.5 hours, very respectable time for Keysanity in general. So definitely not something to feel bad about. Hello, Karma. No.
Can you hear me?
There you are.
There we go.
Alright, sorry about that. It doesn't work when my sound's coming through my TV.
Well, GG for finishing that out and having a pretty nice Ganon fight at the end there.
Yeah, it was... Yeah, the overall was... The seed was great. My run was terrible.
I mean, we all know what happened to you. We don't need to dwell on that.
Well, I thought I had a shot when I found the bow where I did. I was like, oh, okay. So you had a full clear it and go turn and pin it. Okay. So I was like, okay, maybe I have a shot. And then 2 hours in, I was still missing 3 items. I was like, yeah, I'm done.
So you did actually find the bow earlier than Willard did. Obviously it was just that that dig spot that kept you from progressing the rest of the way.
And what I figured is I would find either the fire rod or the key. It would lead me into the other one. And then at that point I was like, well, Ganon's tower key's probably in the tower. And by the time I realized I missed dig spot, I think I had 2 spots in the whole overworld left.
Probably about that, yeah.
And then I looked at my menu and I was like, okay, I know I have shovel. Did I check shovel? And then I just went through and I was like, no, I don't think I did. So I went over and checked it and I was like, oh yeah. So bombos, bombs.
So it wasn't that you forgot you had it, it's just you forgot you hadn't checked it.
It wasn't even that. Like, I thought about it like 3 times during the race. Like, after I'd gotten it, I was like, okay, the shovel, got it. And then I was doing something else and I was like, yeah, maybe I'll check the shovel after this. And then I just kept getting sidetracked from it. I kept getting new leads and more stuff to do.
Yeah, that can definitely happen. We saw you going back and looking through your inventory up there on top of Hyrule Castle, and it was just like, okay, well, I think you just realized, and you did, which was great. But
I almost went to the other spot. I can't even remember where it was now, but I remember there was another spot that I had missed.
I think you did go to the other one that we were thinking about, which was going and checking a big chest somewhere.
Ice Palace.
Ice Palace,
yeah. There may have been a chest in Pod that you didn't go back to.
No, I got everything but the big chest and the Helmasaur. I can't even remember it. As soon as I got the big key, I just forgot about what I was thinking of.
For sure.
But yeah, Willard, good game to Willard. When I found boots early, I already knew I was in trouble. I'm, as you can tell, I'm a casual runner, so I don't know all the fast boot tactics. Not very good at spin speed or any of that, so I knew he had an edge there for sure.
Well, I think for somebody who considers themselves a casual runner, again, this 2.5 hour finish in Keysanity is nothing to be sad about at all. Willard also, certainly there's a skill to it, but he definitely, routed a little bit better and routed a little bit more fortunately than you did. And, realistically speaking, aside from that dig spot, it was not that far off for a lot of the race. So, GG, you know, for playing well.
Out of curiosity, did you guys get to see his final item count?
We have it on screen right now. It was 177 locations checked.
I'm curious how many I checked.
Well, we may get to find out here in a second.
I assume it's more than that, because the only things I know I missed are pod, the big chest in Ganon's Tower, because I had to clear the Ice Armos 3 chests, and a few overworld items.
I feel like your count's probably going to be a little higher. Now, Willard did do a lot of, you know, overworld checking between dungeons, but I mean, he didn't have to scour the world for that big key like you were.
Well, I think what threw me off is the fact that I got mirror so late too, because usually I like routing that area with mirror.
Right. Nobody likes to do dig spot by itself.
Yeah, so when I gotten everything so late, I don't even know if I checked K45, to be honest. That might have been the other one I was thinking about. I don't think I did. The South of Grove?
That may be possible, yeah.
I think that's the other location I was thinking I missed.
Yeah, I know Willard checked it, but I don't remember specifically whether you did.
Yeah, I know I didn't check it, because I barely checked the mirror spots. I'm just interested what my final item count is. I know it's probably over 180. I just want to see how high.
I think it's definitely, I mean, I don't think that Willard checked much, if anything, that you didn't. And you did, well, you did 5 extra chests on right side of GT that Willard did not. So I would expect it to be over 180, but I don't know how much higher than just the GT difference it's going to be.
Oh, okay, so he went straight left side?
Yeah, which is actually kind of rare for him, but he, I think he did check the 2 on the right side, right in the first room. But, you know, you obviously went a little bit further in on the right.
Yeah, I figured right on. I'd already lost. I assumed the worst. It was like, I'm assuming it's like Tower Room or something.
I don't blame you.
Yeah. The Tower Room check there was, you know, everybody was a pretty big fan of that.
It's always fun, you know, when people just jump right in there. One of these days, I'm just going to meme hard and just go immediately to Tower Room when I get into GT.
So I ended up finding the pod big key in GT. So that means what was the other dungeon? That was a T-Rock. The last T-Rock small key had to be in there somewhere too.
Yeah.
Or it was in the 2 chest and pod. I seriously, if this hadn't been something that I was wanting to end eventually, I probably would have went and checked PED and everything.
Yeah.
Or got PED.
Yeah, we were wondering, you know, so Willard didn't go right side, so he never saw that pod big key in GT. And, you know, I kind of wish he had, because I would have loved to have known what he was thinking when he found it. So what were you thinking when you found that pod big key?
I was, see, I've ran a seed where the pod big key was in GT, and then the GT big key was in the pod big chest before. That's actually been a seed I've had before, so.
So you were prepared for that level of ludicrousness.
Yeah. So the collection rate just came up on our screen, and it's a impressive 191 out of 216. So yeah, significantly more than Willard ended up checking.
I wish I had got 192. I wish I had the swag net there at the end.
I mean, you could have just mirrored out. That's all I'm saying.
Not that
deep right
into
there.
it. That's true. It was in the basement of Harrow, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got to Aghanim, but I was already at Aghanim too when I thought about it. I was like, man, I wish I had Swagnet just to do it.
Yeah, little swag never hurt anybody. It's always fun. So with that, just throw it to you. Do you have any kind of final thoughts on the seed? Anything you want to say to chat or anything?
Well, for everybody out there in chat, if you're thinking about running the game, don't be afraid of what you see on this. Come run it casually. Standard opens are a lot easier than what you're seeing today. We got a fun community. Props to everybody who works on it. Commentators, trackers, background crew, restreamers, admins. The community's pretty large. Come get to know everybody.
Well said. And while we're on the subject of the community, definitely, if you enjoyed what you saw here tonight, give your runners a follow on Twitch if you care to support them. All of our runners, I know are playing this game quite a bit, and you can always find a never-ending stream of Randomizer entertainment all around Twitch. Also, huge shout-outs to our tracker, who was Trojan Dude. Trackers oftentimes don't get the love that they deserve. It's kind of a thankless job behind the scenes, but they deserve a lot of thanks because it's really hard to do well. Keysanity especially. There's so many things going on that have to be kept track of, and it's no joke. And I know that me and Dr. Bob would not be able to do our job as commentators if we did not have trackers that were up to date. So with that, Dr. Bob, do you want to take us out of here?
Well, yeah, I just want to say thank you very much for commentating with me, Emosaru, and also thank you to our entire production team, basically Feasel. But yes, for the restream and everybody who makes this tournament possible. And so with that, I want to thank all of our runners and our viewers especially. And with that, I'd like to say good night, everybody. I have been Dr. Bobtastic.
And I've been Emosaru.
Bye-bye.